Hey guys, injury lawyer Scott DeSalvo here, and in today's video I'm going to talk about the doctor told me I have a herniated disc. What do I need to know, and do I need to talk to a lawyer? Okay, so that's the topic today. The reason it came up is I just signed up a guy who was injured with a herniated disc, and he told me he watched a bunch of my YouTube videos, but I didn't have any on herniated discs, and he wasn't sure I handled herniated disc cases. So I thought maybe I should shoot a video on that topic. So you're probably watching this video because you're curious about what a herniated disc is, or you have been diagnosed with one, either in the office or after an MRI. Okay, so let me explain to you. I want to explain to you how all of this works. But before I get into that, if you have a herniated disc or a loved one, or you know somebody with a herniated disc, that is a serious injury. And as I tell everybody, if you have been diagnosed with a herniated disc or any large or potentially large injury, it is a good idea to talk to an injury lawyer right away, okay? The bigger the case, the more money that could be at stake for you, the more important it is to make sure you don't fall into an insurance company trap. So you can call me at the same number, 312-500-4500, 312-500-4500, anytime, day or night, okay? So back to what is a herniated disc. Okay, so first thing is, what is a herniated disc? Your spine is up and down when you're walking around, and it basically it's your backbone, right? And what is the backbone made of? It's made of little vertebrae, bony vertebrae, which give your spine its strength, and then in between each vertebrae there is a disc. Okay, the disc is like a gel pack, and it's a shock absorber. So when you walk around, it is absorbing the shock between each vertebrae, right? And you've got a lot of vertebrae in your spine, so it's not just one or two bones, it's like a bunch of bones, all the way from the base of your neck down to your tailbone. And so, you got vertebrae, bone, disc, vertebrae, bone, disc, vertebrae, bone, disc. Well, the disc, the shock absorber, pushes the bones apart, right? Because there's a shock absorber between them. And in that space between the vertebrae, that's where all the nerves come out from your brain down out into your body. And remember, your nerves basically are what make you feel, and your nerves are what make you allow you to move your body, right? So the concern with a herniated disc is, when you have a blowout of your shock absorber. Okay, you can think of it as like a tire, or if you've ever used like a heated gel pack for a neck ache or a backache or an injury, imagine there's a tear in that thing and the gel is leaking out. Or the tire analogy, there's a leak in your tire and then it goes down, right? As it goes down, the space between the discs reduces, right? And as the space between the discs reduces, you can start getting your nerves pinched. And the concern with a herniated disc, I always tell people, if you have any concern, this is one of the reasons why I tell people, if you've been injured at work or a car accident or however, and you're having bad neck or back pain, especially if it goes down your arm or down your leg, that's a sign of a pinched nerve in the space between your vertebrae, right? Where a herniated disc might be losing height and now it's pinching the nerve, right? So it's very important to get those diagnosed and addressed right away. Okay, we'll talk about the treatment in a minute. You got to address them right away. Why? Because nerves are actually very delicate. They're tough, but if you pinch them too bad, if you sever them, if you cut them, you're in trouble. If you pinch them long enough, they can start to die, okay? So you don't want to walk around with a pinched nerve for a long time. You want to get the diagnosis right away. Now, usually if somebody's got a herniated disc, it means they've got those radicular symptoms, those symptoms of either weird sensation going down their arm or their legs, or actual pain. A lot of times with a neck injury, if you have a herniated disc in your neck, it can feel like you have a shoulder injury. It actually You could literally feel no pain in your neck or minor pain in your neck, like a 3 out of 10 pain in your neck and 8 out of 10 pain in your shoulder. And then the doctors will give you an MRI and a bunch of tests, and they'll discover that it's radicular pain or referred pain, where the problem isn't a blown disc in your neck, but the nerve is pinching and making it feel like it's in your shoulder. I see that all the time. A lot of times people think it might be a rotator cuff tear, but it actually isn't. It's a herniated disc in their neck, okay? So if you have a herniated disc in your neck, you're at risk for one or both arms feeling numb or having shooting pain, or one or both shoulders, or even down to your fingers. And if you have a herniated disc in your lower back, your lumbar spine, that's when you can have hip pain, you can have leg pain shooting down from your lower back, okay? So if you have any of those symptoms, you might have a herniated disc, and it is very important for you to get in to see a doctor right away. Well, what do doctors do? Okay, the first thing that they will often do, if you're not having really bad symptoms of pain shooting down, or numbness shooting down, or loss of strength in a leg or an arm, is they will often put you into physical therapy. And physical therapy is diagnostic, and it's also curative, okay? It's to help the doctor see what's wrong with you, and it's also to make you feel better and help you heal, right? So sometimes physical therapy will often strengthen the surrounding muscles, and over time the herniated disc isn't pinching the nerve anymore. So that's why they do it. The other thing is, if physical therapy isn't helping at all, or even makes the pain worse, you might have a herniated disc. Now, when a doctor discovers that, depending on your symptoms when you first see a doctor, if the symptoms really concern the doctor, he or she'll send you right for an MRI. But a lot of times they'll put you in therapy first, and whether you do some therapy and it's giving you a lot of problems, or whether they send you to MRI, the second stage of treatment for a herniated disc is going to get an MRI. And right now, the MRI is the gold standard for diagnosing a herniated disc, second only to a doctor actually doing surgery on you and looking with their own eyes to see what's going on. It's the gold standard. Why? Because where x-rays only see bones, or mainly just see bones or calcium deposits, an MRI visualizes the soft tissue. In other words, your discs are that soft tissue. They're not bone, they're shock absorbers. So if you have a blowout, they can usually see it on MRI. It's not it's not perfect. There are often times where if you move a little bit during the MRI, they can't see whether it's herniated or not, or just based on where it's herniated and the position they have you on the table. Another thing is they're not popular because the insurance company shut them down. It's the fMRI. It's a functional MRI. So they do an MRI while you're standing up. Well, why does that make sense? Well, why do people lay down when they have a bad neck or back? To take the weight of their head and their body off the discs, right? If you're laying down, the spaces open up more. If you're standing up, it shows what your spine looks like under load, right? And under load is the way you are when you're walking around. So a lot of people will have worse pain when they're standing up and walking around, and less pain when they lay down. It makes sense to do an MRI that way, but fMRIs have been attacked by the insurance industry, and they're rare now. There's not too many machines out there. They attack them left and right because they're better proof when people are really hurt. And the insurance industry saves millions, probably hundreds of millions of dollars every year by injured people not being able to definitively prove that there's an MRI or that there's nerve compression from that space between the vertebrae, okay? So that, after the MRI, the next thing they'll usually do is they'll try therapy if they haven't already tried therapy. The next step after that, now don't get me wrong, a lot of people with a herniated disc do therapy and they get better. Some of them get completely better where they have no symptoms or minor symptoms. So that's a good percentage of the people. Not everybody with a herniated disc ends up with surgery. But the next step would be injections, all right? So if they give you injections, an injection is an injection into the cervical spine, the neck area, or the lumbar spine, or the thoracic, which is the middle back. And the idea in there is that they're basically taking the pain away to let your body heal, okay? Reduce the swelling, reduce the pain so that you can live a little bit and let your body heal. But again, the injections are diagnostic as well, all right? If you've got a vertebrae really pinching a nerve, the injection might help for a day or two, and if the pain comes right back, they know for sure it's a herniated disc. So sometimes an injection or a series of 3 injections solves the problem, and then you don't need to go any further in treatment. You're able to return to your normal life or return to work. If that doesn't work, your next step is surgery, and there's a variety of surgeries. There's the discectomy, where they cut some of the vertebrae out. There's the fusion, cervical fusion, where they put internal hardware to lift the space between the vertebrae, and they fuse it there. So they're basically taking those vertebrae apart, and they're not using your disc as a shock absorber. They're fusing those 2 levels of the spine together to make sure the nerve's not getting pinched anymore. And that's a very mature surgery at this point. I think they started doing that as early as the 60s, 1960s or 1970s. So it's a very mature procedure now, and it's, you know, relatively safe. It's still a spine surgery. It's still a big deal, but it's not, you know, it's not as serious and as scary as it was in the 70s or 80s. I mean, even back, if you talk to a retired surgeon, they'll tell you that even by the 1980s, they knew what they were doing, and they were pretty good, right? But it still is a spine surgery involving nerves, so you got to take doing a surgery seriously. So that is what a herniated disc is. That is why it's important to talk to a doctor right away, and that is sort of an outline of what the likely treatment and what the progression of a treatment for a herniated disc is, whether it's in your neck or back, okay? The last thing I'm going to say is very important to talk to a lawyer and get represented. At the early stages of a case, or even the middle stages, you don't know whether the company is going to go along with the program throughout the case, whether it's going to be disputed or anything like that. You want to make sure that you have somebody on your side, making sure that you are making all the right decisions and that you're building as strong a case with as few problems as possible. Doing that is only something a lawyer can help you do, right? I will occasionally, I get probably a dozen or 20 phone calls every year from people who had a family member tell them what to do in their case, or their cousin had a big case and they got a bunch of money, so the cousin told them what to do. I am telling you, you have to be very careful about taking advice like that from a non-lawyer. I represent a lot of people who bring me a case later on. I'm one of the few lawyers who, like all lawyers, prefers cases early on, right after the injury or close to it. But I take cases all the way, even the ones that are near the end, because there are still things I can do for people to get them maximum recovery and to repair some of the damage that you know, somebody else might have done to the case. Bad advice might have done to the case. So if you have a herniated disc, if you know anyone with a herniated disc and they're worried and they have questions, or they might want a lawyer, I'm happy to talk to you or your loved one or your friend or your family member, even if they don't want a lawyer or, you know, whatever. If they have questions and they have concerns, I'm happy to give a free consultation, whether you hire me for the case or not. You can always reach me at 312-500-4500. I talk to lots of people because of all the advice I give on YouTube and on my website. So lots of people call me even after their case is over with a question, and I'm able to You know, I make it a priority to try and educate and help people so that they understand how all this stuff works. Obviously, I make a living doing this. Do I want you to hire me? Of course I do. But if you have a question and I can answer it for you, I'm happy to do it. So, you know, understand where I'm coming from. Believe me, I help a lot of people as their attorney too. So I'm happy to help you too. 312-500-4500. 312-500-4500. Thank you so much for watching. You know, if you're not ready to talk to a lawyer and you want to know what your case might be worth, you can check out the Case Cash Calculator. It tells you what your case might be worth in settlement. I'll leave a link in the description with the web address. I also have the Good Case Calculator. 15 seconds to do it, and you get an answer about whether you have a good case or whether you have a case that might have some challenges. Okay? Again, 100% free on my website. Check it out in the links below. Finally, if you enjoy my videos, please like and subscribe to the video. Hit the bell so you get notified if you subscribe. You get notified of when I release a new video. I usually release multiple videos a week. And finally, if you enjoy my videos or you got a free consultation or my video helped you and you wouldn't mind doing it, if you could leave me a 5-star review on Google, that would really help me. There's a link in the description. You just go to that web address, cut and paste it into your browser, hit 5 stars, say a kind word, hit submit. Takes you 5 seconds, but it means the world to me. We're in a very competitive market with out-of-state trust fund multimillionaires who never go to court, trying to snatch up all the cases with every billboard, every TV ad. None of them really practice law. None of them actually talk to clients or work on cases. So it's frustrating that they're snapping up all the cases. There's also a bunch of unethical stuff going on out there that I don't do and I will never do. So if you could give me a 5-star review, it would help me a lot, and it would help me if you hired me. So thanks for watching. End of commercial. Have a great day. Take care.